after Friday night's game, you just didn't feel great again after you lose to the Angels. You had bases loaded a couple times against the Angels. You didn't take advantage of it. You lose a game in LA. And you're like, okay, yeah, you still won the series. And then you go to Houston and immediately don't look good offensively. And you're like, wait, was that fluky, that stretch that the Rangers had for, I don't know, I'm going to guess 10 to 12 games or so. It might have been longer than that. Or were we coming out of a somewhat couple month-long funk and getting back into the team that we believe we have, one of the best offensive teams in baseball to start the season? And you got done with the Houston series. I'll just fast forward, and you win 2 out of 3, and that is huge. But it's weird because you didn't hit really in the series to win. It was all pitching that won you that series.
That and when we talk about fits and starts
all
offense.
Pitching, you're right. It wasn't all pitching, but you had to have phenomenal pitching to win that series.
And thankfully, you got a little bit from this man here, cut 3, Alec, because he gave you just enough to get you some wins.
Here's the pitch. A swing and a drive deep to right field. Back goes Lou Profito at the wall. That ball is history. It's a 2-home-run game for Josh Smith. He's doing it by himself. The Rangers lead 4-1.
All right, so that was huge there because I felt like the Rangers weren't going to score the rest of that game before that happened. So the Rangers in this game, and this is going to be similar to Saturday's game, the Rangers got a leadoff hit from Marcus Semien.
Yeah.
They got a home run from Josh Smith.
Sure did.
Did you just hear that highlight?
Yeah.
That was their other hit of the game. That was it. Josh Smith hit 2 2-run homers. In the first inning, Semien singles, Corey Seager hits into a force play, and so Corey Seager's on base, and then Josh Smith hits the home run. Then the Rangers get no hit from that point on until you get to the 8th inning, and Corey Seager draws a walk, and Josh Smith hits a home run. It counts. It's a win. Right now, a win is a win. You kind of get to the point where you're like, you want to see consistently good play because then you can believe that they're going to go on a magical run.
Plus, that's the stuff that projects forward, right? Yeah. Like the things that project forward is the process of it, and the process of we're putting up a offense, hitting consistently, getting on the bases and moving around them. Like those are things that project forward. But at this point, I think you've gotten to a place where you can't really worry about projection. You're living and fighting with every game that you play now, I think.
Saturday, Marcus Semien hits a home run to lead off the game.
Yeah.
The Rangers got 3 more hits the rest of the game. In the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, I believe the Rangers walked 7 times, got hit by a pitch, got 1 hit in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. 1 hit in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. They drew 6 or 7 walks. They got hit by a pitch. They got hit by another pitch on 2 strikes. Marcus Semien got hit in the foot, but he swung the bat, so it counted as a strikeout. And they didn't score with bases loaded in the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th inning. And in the 10th inning, Nate Lowe came through huge with a runner on third base and 2 outs. He gets an opposite field base hit on a breaking ball that stays up in the zone and away, and he hits a line drive to left field. And it's awesome. The Rangers win 2-1. Nathan Eovaldi, spectacular. Bullpen, David Robertson, Kirby Yates, unbelievable. Yesterday, unbelievable bullpen. Good start from Max Scherzer. The bullpen saved the 5th inning. Josh Sborz saves the 5th inning. But it's interesting, you win that series, and you look at, you scored 2 runs in 10 innings and won. You scored 4 runs on 3 hits yesterday on 2 2-run homers by Josh Smith and just a single by Marcus Semien, and you win. So you won the series. It's huge. I don't want to take anything away. That was super needed. But it was weird doing the post game of Saturday and Sunday because you're excited. There's wins and there's things to celebrate.
For sure.
But then you go, all right, you head into the All-Star break, and literally almost everybody on the team besides Josh Smith is kind of struggling at the plate.
Especially when, coming into this series, and I don't remember if you recall this conversation, or we were talking about it, and I was talking about the probable pitchers, remember? And I looked at it, and I was like, I'm not fearful of Getty, and I forget who the Astros threw out there on Friday night as well. And Ronel Blanco has had a good season, right?
But after the 2-run homer, Blanco was nails. He was really good.
Right.
Getty, I'll give him credit, but at the same time, that can't happen. That guy had almost a 6 ERA. He had 16 starts. Only 8 of them had he made it through 5 innings, had he got 15 outs in a start.
Yeah.
So he is a 50-50 guy on getting 15 outs for you as a starting pitcher. And then he throws his best game of the year. You give him credit. It was his best game of the year on Saturday against the Rangers.
Yeah, so I was kind of shocked that offensively it didn't come around in those ways. But yeah, you still saw incredible performances. Would you like to talk about Josh Sborz, who looked like he was in World Series form? Would you like to talk about Josh H. Smith? And just like the power that he's had, or I mean, should we just talk about the fact that now you have reached the All-Star break, which is, I mean, that could be super necessary for this team, as you mentioned, who comes in not hitting as well as you would hope to in order getting to the break.
Josh Smith was your first half MVP, and he put an exclamation point on it yesterday. Now, that being said, you won't make, this is nothing against Josh Smith. I don't want anybody to take this wrong. You will not be in a playoff hunt in September if Josh Smith is still your best player at that point. At this point now, Josh Smith, keep doing what you're doing, but this second half needs to be carried by Marcus Semien, Corey Seager. Hopefully, Josh Young comes back and can contribute in a positive way. I know he's coming back. I just don't know, like, how is he going to be with barely any spring training and playing 4 games this year? And I don't know if he's even coming back on Friday, to be honest. I don't know if he's ready for Friday. We'll probably get closer to that on Thursday if we're hearing positive things from Josh Young.
Did he hit off of a tee yesterday morning? Or it was sometime during this weekend that they said that he was hitting off of a tee, so we're progressing that way at least?
But thank God for Josh Smith because he was your best player in the first half. And if he would have been just Josh Smith last year, they would probably, I hate saying this, they might be close to a 60-loss team. Now, probably not 60, but you're probably looking at right now, you're 45-50. If Josh Smith was 2023 Josh Smith, you're probably 5 more losses. I think I can easily say that because offensively, Josh Smith has moved into the 3-hole. Like from batting 8th and 9th last year to now he is your 3-hole hitter right now, and I don't think that's going to change when Josh Young comes back immediately.
Right.
Is that he moved his way into a 3 spot, and he's contributing from that spot in a great way. If you didn't have him, I think you're out of the race, and we are talking today about what do we do with the 5 or 6 kind of guys that you could possibly move. But Josh Smith, not single-handedly, but his contribution has kept you in the race.
Actually, to that point, I kind of want to go there because you mentioned Josh H. Smith. He was a totem for you during the course of the first half, the proverbial first half as we've reached the All-Star break. But also, it seems like he a little bit of like the moral center, or at least one that could give us a little bit of an insight into what this team was thinking, at least with this with this Astros series, because it seems like after this game he was interviewed and you took something interesting from it.
With the post-game interview?
Yeah, with the post-game interview.
Yeah, is he admitted without, I'm going to change his words because I don't have the cut, and I'm going to change the words a little bit here, but he said
the essence of what he was saying.
We knew as a team that this series not only meant a lot like in the standings, but it meant a lot to probably our front office. Without Chris Young didn't have a meeting, in Anaheim or in Houston and said, if you guys don't go 4-2 or better on this road trip, then I'm trading players. But the players know. They are 20-something years old. Their whole life, I'm 40-something. I did not grow up with social media. Social media happened around, for me, 2005 to 2009 is about when social media started happening in my life, where I was like, what is this thing? What is this Facebook? What is this Twitter thing going on? I can remember asking Ryan Zimmerman in 2007 in a hotel room. I'm like, hey, Zim, what's this? I'm hearing about this Twitter thing. Can you explain to me what Twitter is and what's going on here? Because at the time, Zim, I think, liked a famous person. I forget who it was, and was hoping his agent could make the connection and whatever, and maybe it could happen through. He was saying Twitter, and I'm like, what is this word you're using? Can you help me out with this word that you're saying Twitter, and what does this thing mean? So these guys see it all.
Yeah.
What I'm getting to is there's no way, no, they can't block out the noise. Their whole life, from whatever age it was, 10 to 14 years old or so, when their parents bought them a phone and gave them a phone and they have internet for their whole lives, they see it all. They see social media and they see MLB Network and they see ESPN and they see whatever it is. They know the rumors. And Josh Smith let you know in that interview, we know the rumors that the Rangers are possibly selling players off of this team. And we knew that we had to make a stand in this series, especially against Houston. And not saying they played their best baseball offensively, but they did pitch their butts off. He acknowledged, we know that we might be sellers and we don't want to be. We want this team to stay together and we want to have the ability to push for a playoff spot. And he felt like they did enough, at least for the All-Star break, for possibly Ray Davis and Chris Young and the rest of the front office and the rest of the ownership to not have conversations about it's time to move on.
Yeah, and I mean, you set the baseline on Friday that they needed to go 2 for 3 in this series. They needed to make sure that they won 2 of these games.
However it happened. They got it done.
Right, by hook or by crook, they ultimately end up in that place. They are now 46-50, just 5 games back at the AL West leading Mariners. And so, look, this is really good in that regard. I do want to ask you, though, Mike, real quick before we go here, do you feel like this then answers the question that we've kind of been teetering around for the last month or so on whether this team will be buyers or sellers? Like, do you think that it fully answers it, or does it just give us a little bit of more extension on making that decision as we're still 15 days away from the deadline?
They pushed it down the road.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if they're going to be. I don't know if they're going to be buyers.
Okay.
I don't know if financially they can be buyers. I don't like saying that, but I do know with the up in the air TV situation, I don't know how much they can buy to possibly help this team. I think it's going to have to be the guys here and the guys that are hurt that are going to have to help this team out. Selling. There's a big series, which obviously we'll get to way later in the week, against Baltimore.
Yes.
The Seattle Mariners and the Astros play each other to start the second half. So there's going to be at least a loss on one of those teams each night. You come out against Baltimore and you win that series because they're arguably the best in the American League. If you were to win that series and then the White Sox are next and you – look, at this point, you need to sweep the White Sox.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
Yeah, you need to take all
and
those.
Probably Crochet, I'm going to guess, is – there's a possibility he doesn't pitch in the series, or if he does, it'd be at the end of the series because I'm going to assume he pitches either the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday for the White Sox.
Yeah.
And heck, maybe he gets traded by the time you're playing him.
That's where I thought you were going first.
But you need to win that homestand overall because the White Sox are on there, so you can win all of those games. Then that changes. Maybe they do try to add a bullpen piece, which I talked about the Miami Marlins being a great team to call up. They have 2 stud left-handed relievers that you could use one or either of them. I don't know how much they would cost prospect-wise, but I do think that they could still be sellers if they come out of the gates and they do not play well. And offensively, they just don't look like they can really string together big innings. And the thing that we thought was going to carry the 2024 Texas Rangers, I don't know what those conversations will be on, let's say, July 27th.
Sure.
When Chris Young and Ray Davis and company are having a discussion on how hard do we go after the last 2 months of this season.
Yeah, but Josh Smith and your Texas Rangers, they say not today on that decision. 2 of 3 they win over the weekend against the hated Houston Astros, headed into the All-Star break.